In the very recent past, summer 2020, there was a guy named Steve Gelbs with S&Y, Lyft and Citi. Steve led the online crew. The players watched the whole game through. The greatest team in history got together for the Citi by charity.
Let's go Mets.
John Harper added his point of view. A Mets fan born to drink some brews. Being out of work is really lame, and so he moved on. So he moved on. So he moved all of the boxes and he sunk them to the game. Let's go, Mets, go!
Oh, yeah! Aggies plate.
Wear it.
Got him.
If you're wondering why he did all this and other stuff like that, just repeat to yourself, he's a Mets fan, and we all could use a laugh.
That at bat, Keith, looking at it from a pitching standpoint, which I've never paid that much attention to it.
Yeah.
It looked to me like you were doing some recon. You were feeling out his velocity, and you were kind of locking in on that and kind of get a lot of information. Yeah, you wanted to get a hit, but it seemed like that was a very intelligent at bat that was going to pay you dividends later on. That's what it looked like to me. That's what I had noticed from the mound.
Well, he threw me all fastballs, and so I haven't seen his breaking ball yet. And I was pulling off a little bit. That ball was on the outer half of the plate, and I hit it where it was pitched, but I didn't really drive into it. I just really wasn't in sync. I had a tough time the whole series. I never liked not facing pitchers I never faced. You have to kind of wipe that out of your brain. You know, you got to go up there and pretend like you got two strikes on you, every at bat, because you really don't have a feel for what they like to do with you. I never faced Clemens. I never faced Hurst. You know, Crawford out of the bullpen. I never faced him. Never faced Oil Can. So you gotta be kind of more caveman when you go up there.
Bunga, bunga.
Just see the ball and hit it.
See ball, hit ball.
Well, that ball right there that you flew out, like you said, you pulled off.
I've
seen
bit.
You try that in the gap a million times.
I know.
That pitch, that you gapped.
That whole at bat I pulled off a little bit, just a little bit. The shoulder, instead of driving in right at the pitcher, just a little bit this way.
Hey, Rafi, when you're watching him pitch that first inning, would you? I mean, I know Keith talked hitting with other guys on the lineup. Would you go and ask Keith what's he got, or you just trust yourself when you're going to?
I just trust myself, and I know I was going to get to the point where I was going to get the guy, because I was not going to hit. I know I was not going to be Keith Hernandez or Carter or Strawberry, but I was going to put the ball on plate, and it don't matter to me. I mean, I just wanted to make contact.
See the
Hey,
ball
Doc,
hit.
see ball, hit ball. Doc, since we are on Facebook and everybody who's watching right now,
Nobody's
this is good
watching
for you
right
guys
now.
to know. We are going to take some questions throughout from fans.
This happened months ago.
So we're going to start off with Richard, who wants to know from Doc, just this Red Sox lineup right now, who is the toughest out for you in this lineup?
Man, they always tough for me. I didn't pitch well in either game. I got hit pretty hard in both games, so they always tough. But probably Henderson probably was the toughest for me in that lineup. As Keith said, the guys that laid off my high fastball gave me the most trouble, and him and Dewey, hit the home runs off me. So probably Henderson gave me the most trouble.
Haji
But both
sighting.
games, all those guys was tough. I didn't have a good stuff, and I got hit. pretty
What's
good
the
in both
deal with Keith naming his cat after Hojo?
Doc, you had to be gassed coming out of that NLCS. You throw 10 innings in what game for
Yeah,
game
I mean,
4?
I don't know if that was part of it. Just that I just didn't have it. My location was off. My fastball was flat. Couldn't get the curveball over. I was falling behind in the count. And with that lineup, you fall behind, they definitely make you pay. Like I said, I just couldn't get ahead of the guys. Fastball was flat, and then I didn't have a good curveball. And obviously, wrong time to have 2 bad games. But unfortunately, I didn't have it. But thank God the teammates picked me up.
Doc, to that end, though, are you, in this moment in particular, coming off a Game 5 loss, are you able to just stay in the moment and watch this game and and, just be kind of that encouraging teammate? Or are you in the back of your mind still replaying the game previously and how things could have gone differently?
A little bit of both. That's a great question. Obviously, you down on yourself a little bit, but then the night after the game, you got a little self-pity because you didn't pitch well and trying to figure out what went wrong. But then once the game started, that's the best part. You can kind of forget about my start and get back into it, cheer your teammates on. You're just hoping for any opportunity, whether it's pitching on the bullpen or anything, to get another chance to at least right yourself. If it's just facing that one hitter, that's all you can ask for. But just happy that the guys, pitch well and they pulled through it.
That's a pretty good pitch right there, Bob. Your changeup sinking away. He was probably looking for it.
They're all looking for it.
What did Keith say there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But early in this by the second inning, in this telecast, they were talking a lot about how, Bobby, you didn't look like the same guy as your previous game. Do you feel good at this point?
I felt horrible. Game 3, I was throwing the last pitches of my life, and as a pro, I felt that. I really believed that. But then, thank goodness, I felt I was going to do it again, and I have to do it again. But I just, like I say, I owe the fans out there a huge thank you. I owe my teammates a huge thank you because they pushed me through this game and they got me through this game. And at the end of it, I really thought that, okay, I don't get to play again, but we won the World Series, so we're going to win. We knew we were going to win Game 7 after this. But I just felt this debt to everybody that they got me through this thing because it was an uncomfortable game.
Well, I don't know if there are many teams that defended the bunt as well as our team did, especially because of number 17. Huh?
The best.
I think I make a play here. I'm not sure. I can't recall.
Clemens didn't get it down. Go sit down.
Sit down, Clemens.
For some reason, the game's not coming up on my screen. I don't see the
Really?
game. No.
So I was an 11-year-old boy on Long Island. It
Doc, did you have it up before?
Incredible.
Just went away?
It never came up.
My 6th grade teacher let us decorate the
I
classroom.
just pressed the prompt and I got it. So.
Doc, get one of your kids that's under like 15. They'll do it in
Doc
3
can't
seconds.
find the game.
Yeah.
So
Where?
I was a paper boy. Which is why I
Doc,
have.
if you have a TV too,
I
you
was a
can just
fan
put on
anyway.
SNY right now.
I clipped all the
Mike's in
newspaper
Maryland.
clippings.
I'm in the Orioles country right now.
I read the box scores every day.
Bobby, how'd you
Simpler
try and get
times.
Boggs out?
I stay away. I know he's going to. The thing about him, he had 4 arms like Popeye, but he wanted to slap a single to left.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away from him.
Yeah.
I know he's not going to hurt me with a long one. Even if I hang it, he'll probably, take it because he's looking to go the other way. I'm going to let him go the other way because of that guy right there, Raffy. I'm like, okay, he hits it on the ground the other way. If Raffy gets to it, it's going to be a double play. Hung the breaking ball. And that ball should have been out of the ballpark.
That's right.
That ball should have been out of the ballpark.
Did you guys trust me that much?
I did.
Caller, you are live on the air.
threw him
Please turn down your
You threw him
radio.
a hanger there, Bob, and off speed because you hung it, and that's the only ball he was going to pull.
Right, and that's the ball there, Keith. A guy who's looking to do some damage goes yard, way yard. I didn't hit that ball out.
By the way, they're hit and run, and we covered with the second baseman. What's that about, Rafi, with Boggs up?
Because Ralphie was playing way over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He would pitch him away, play him away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. I went by the book and that's, I followed every, the scouting report on those guys, and maybe that helped me to be successful.
This guy, Marty Barrett, was one of the smartest guys I played with, baseball smart.
Yeah.
I know he's thinking this at bat through, so I really have to kind of get counterintelligence going on how I'm going to work him. But he was very tough because he was a thinker.
And he went the other way, too. He can handle the bat.
Yes.
Good line drive hitter.
Yep.
Situational hitter. Good, smart player.
Yeah, very smart. You're right, Keith. But he'll turn. He wasn't that big, but he'll turn if he's setting on something. He'll turn.
What was he, Bobby, like as a teammate? Good guy to be around, hang out with?
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was all business.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he got to the ballpark, he was all business. He was always making himself a more intelligent player because he was limited physically.
That's right.
He made himself an intelligent player, which is a good lesson for you kids out there. You don't got to be 6'5". You got to be smart. And he was smart.
Fix it, Doc?
Trying. I told him,
Got the game on now?
Doc,
I was working on it. Still don't have the game. She's
still, Doc.
Describe it to you, Doc. You just did- That's
Doc, there are two links. So the second link would be the game. So you can click on the second link. The first link is the Zoom. The second link should be the game.
But Bobby, you just left a couple of breaking balls up. It looked like. How do you deal with that in the moment?
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. I got more work to do, man. And they just keep coming. And it's so personal at this point for me. It was so personal that I just didn't want. See, we got Aggie up already. I didn't want to get knocked out of here because I know how bad they wanted me, but I wanted them worse. So I really had to, okay, all right, they got to run again, 2 runs, first 2 innings. I'm like, I just got to be in the moment. My outs at the plate. I'll deal with it. I got to let that go.
Yeah.
Are you aware that Aguilera is up at that point?
Probably not.
Yeah.
No, probably not. I mean, I'm but I got Buckner, so I'm like, okay.
okay.
Well, you got made 2 mistakes and they got you. They got you. It was a high change up to Barrett. It looked like it got it up and over the middle. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that one.
Darryl.
Can of corn.
Can of corn.
Whoa. That was almost ugly.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other thing about Steve, you're asking about, do you know if someone's up in the pen or not? As Straw makes this catch, is that it was so dark back there that it wasn't even if you were eyeballing and looking back there, see if there was someone back there. It was just, the bullpen seemed like it was a mile away.
Yeah. By the way, I mentioned it earlier, but if you're just joining us, Darryl will be joining us a little bit later, along with plenty others from that 86 team.
A whole bunch of them.
While we're in commercial here, good time to take some more fan questions. A lot of people
I'll tell you about
are
the
asking
free
about
hat.
the
We're gonna have a contest
woman
at the end of all this
behind home plate who was doing this all night.
Yeah.
You guys remember her?
Oh, sure.
I do.
She was a regular.
Yeah, she was Stephen Tickerholder. She was there all the time.
Her elbow was worse than mine.
She was a diehard fan, that's for sure. And she was even there back in the days when the Mets were really bad. And she was a diehard fan.
She was into it. That's cool.
Keith, Rose wants to know what were the similarities and differences facing Clemens and facing Nolan Ryan?
Good question.
Oh. Ryan's ball did more of this, ran away and up. Clemens was over the top more, and his ball kind of like Seaver's. I really can't remember his breaking ball. Like that first at bat I had 5 pitches. They were all fastballs, but different fastballs. But they both threw hard, and probably Ryan threw harder. But Ryan's ball was like a locomotive. It was like a freight train coming at you, where Clemens' ball was on it's baseball jargon. It's hard to explain, but Clemens' ball was on like on a telegraph wire. He was just electric. The ball kind of giddy up like your fastball, Doc, when you jam me in spring training in that intersquad game.
I remember how loud Nolan Ryan would grunt when he would throw his fastball. Like you could hear it.
Closest thing to John Wayne on the mound.
Yeah, he was.
Ryan Express.
Raphael, what were the similarities, differences for you?
Well, I think like kids say, Clemens' fastball was pretty much straight from over the top, and Nolan fastball kind of had like a little live on it, little tail. And like I say, I mean, they bought two of the best pitchers in the game in the history of the game, and know how to pitch. Know how to pitch.
So Ryan had the great curveball, but he was never really consistent with it. But the games that all the no hitters he threw and all the great games that he threw in his career, but Ryan has that curveball working because he threw it hard too. That's no fun. If a right-hand hitter with that ball running into the right-hand hitters, the fastball and then the curveball away, no thanks.
Keith, what was he throwing in the NLCS? It looked like almost like a splitter or something to go with his hard
I don't
stuff.
think he threw the off-speed pitch back then. Ralph, you remember? He was just fastball curve, right? Did he have the changeup in the playoffs?
He was throwing something down.
He makes his pitches very well. Especially that game that he pitched against us in New York, and he got changeup. He had fastball and a big curveball. That's what he threw the whole game. And we said earlier, to me the best night I ever seen Nolan was that night that he struck out the regular season. He struck out that he got to the 4,000 strikeout that night.
Oh, he got Heap, right?
He got Heap.
Yeah.
And Danny.
So he struck me out. He struck me out 2 times. I was at 3,995, and I was at 4,001 too. So that night he was there. Yeah, he was like pump up, and he threw everything he had. And
he beat us. Did we win or we lose? What I forget.
We lost the ball game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't win them all.
I think it seemed like in '86. It's like Nolan started eating, fooling around. Like Harper said, that one ball that was going down. I don't know if he started fooling around with a 2-seamer, or was he scuffing a bit too, like Scott? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Houston had those good baseballs.
I remember Nolan when he started throwing the changeup. John was in spring training, and I faced him a game in spring training, and he threw me a changeup. This was after the playoffs, and I looked at him, and he's kind of had that smile on his face. So I felt he was monkeying around with it. Then he probably got it. I don't know if it was a split finger, if he got it from Mike Scott. Who knows?
He wasn't afraid to buzz you either, was he? Up top?
No. You didn't want to bunt on him. And by the way,
buzz you
the
up.
ball was not going to carry in this series. The ball was not carrying. The wind was knocking that ball down.
Except for Ray Knights in Game 7.
You hitters complaining all the time. Wind, the stadium's too big. It's knocking it down.
The lights aren't very bright. Oh, God. Hit the ball.
Speaking of complaining, I think it was Joe Garagiola earlier in the broadcast mentioned that Clemens hated pitching on the mound at Shea Stadium.
Did he?
Was it? Yeah.
Good. Well, we hate Clemens.
Said it was too high.
Too high. Yeah.
What do you mean too high?
It was one of the greatest mounds. I think Dodger Stadium I might put ahead of it, but it was one of the greatest mounds you could ever pitch off of in the history of the game.
It was when they lowered the mound in '68, and I didn't come up in '68, but Dodger Stadium, Astrodome, and Shea Stadium, they're all organizations, teams built around pitching. I think they fudged. They did not bring that mound down to the other stadium.
Doc, you said you agree with Ron that it was one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, Shea Stadium and Dodger Stadium, because the main thing, it was consistent. A lot of times, especially with the mounds, like say Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, like in the old stadium where they play football, it's like the mound was a little inconsistent because they'll take it down for the football games with the turf, and a lot of times it might be a little higher than others. But Shea Stadium obviously was very consistent. The ground sphere guys there did a great job, and Dodger Stadium was awesome because the dirt kind of stuck a little bit. And Cincinnati, once Belcher went to the Reds from the Dodgers, he had him change that mound. It was pretty nice as well.
Nice.
Pete flipped that yard, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He was the best.
He was awesome. Love Pete.
I love when he would start telling his Irish stories. It didn't get any better than that.
Did you guys see the Billy Joel video when Paul McCartney comes over and he meets up with him? He had driven him out to the concert, out to the mound in 65 or 66, whenever that was at Shea Stadium. And they reunite and he drives him out for this thing at the Billy Joel.
Right.
It was pretty cool.
Wow.
By the way, we should note for the audience that may not know, Pete Flynn was the head of the grounds crew.
That's the guy.
Yeah, for years, decades.
Doc, you loved that mound in LA, didn't you?
LA was nice because it was high, nice high mound, and plus being a fly ball pitcher, the night games the ball didn't carry that much because they always had the fog coming in, right there.
The old
was
LA
great.
fog.
Dodger Stadium mound was great. Shea was my favorite, obviously. Then Dodger Stadium.
Do you know something?
By the way, quick reminder for everybody watching.
I'm one of the
Sorry, Keith,
last
one
of the
second.
generations to fall asleep with a transistor radio underneath my pillow, listening to the baseball games. You better believe it was a good time. Listening to all those happy recaps.
Go ahead, Keith. Sorry about that.
If you notice, Clemens is throwing 90% fastballs.
Yeah.
So different than what in today's game. It's just, I've got a good fastball, and I'm not afraid. I'm coming after all the hitters. He's just pounding the strike zone.
Good at bat by Straw.
Yeah, it was. And he had some big cuts, too. Now, as you three pitchers, when you see a guy like Darryl taking big hacks like that, you know that Darryl can lose one. That gets your attention, I would assume, right?
Well, yeah, obviously, because he's not up there. Like, those swings weren't just to hang around. He was trying to connect.
Yeah.
You see some guys just kind of hang around waiting for the mistake. Darryl would hit something if it was my pitch or somebody else's pitch.
Yeah.
They wanted to throw, he'd still get it because his arms and his bat, he covered so much of the plate.
Yeah.
He could be out front and the bat's still in the zone. He was so long.
Yes.
Well, here's our
Only when
MVP
I'm facing a guy like that, and you know he can do that.
MVP.
You start off pitching him like the count's already 0-2 because you know obviously you can't make a mistake to a guy like that. He's so strong. He hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark.
Well, there's a slider. There's our MVP up there.
He was the only adult in the room.
Huh?
He was the only adult in the room.
You know what's surprising about Ray?
The only one.
What surprised me about Ray was, Carter just was driven to all kinds of. He was just two breaking balls. But with Mike Scott, Carter was just totally. Scott was totally in Carter's head, and Ray had a hard time with it too, because that's rough. You know how that ball went. When you cut that fastball, you make it break two ways, break a foot. Throw it right down the middle and just go this way away from you, and he'd do it the other way away from me.
Yeah.
And that was the scuff. And then he threw the split finger. But Ray was bothered by it too. Ray got ruffled, and I was surprised.
I was lucky that I was able to hit Scott, decently because I had no much brain to think about. So. And I was just going after and see the swing and everything he's throwing, and I happened to connect a couple balls good of him, but he was moving the ball very well.
But I think you're right, Bobby. Bobby and Ray and the kid were probably the only two adults in the room. I remember Ray was on the DL in the training room, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but he and I ended up wrestling. And we ended up on the floor. I don't know how it happened. And you know how, like, you wrestle, it's all fun, and then it starts to get to be less fun. And Davey Johnson came in and screamed, "Cut it out, cut it out." He said, "Darling, you're fined $500. I said, "What about him?" He goes, "He's an everyday player. We need him. $500 fine."
Keith, after you guys won in Game 7, you were interviewed in the clubhouse with Ray Knight, and you talked about how he was someone that didn't get enough credit for being a leader in that clubhouse and with the young players.
Well, I think Doc, Ronnie, and Ralph, all four guys here. I was a chatterbox on the field. Ray was a chatterbox too.
Oh.
Both corner infield positions had two chatterboxes. Ray could chirp with the best of them. You know, Ray was very competitive, and I played against Ray in A-ball in the Florida State League and then in AAA, and he was the same kind of aggressive competitor throughout his career, even when he was in the minors.
Keith, when Darryl steals the base there, does he have a green light or is that a sign, you think?
I think he had a green light.
David gave those guys green lights?
We had speed in that club. Wally, Mookie, Lenny, Darryl had green lights. I'm sure of it.
How nice was it not to see a replay? Go up in the booth and have to go to Chelsea and figure out if he was safe or out.
Probably would have been out, right? Because
he might have been. Yeah. He might have been.
You had to remind me of that, Ron, huh?
Oh, sorry, buddy.
My night.
Sorry.
It is amazing, though, when we were watching this earlier this week, that was my first thought. You're almost conditioned to just expect now that there's going to be a replay. And, you're watching a game.
We're up in the booth up there, and every manager, he puts it, when it's a close play, he puts his hand up to the umpire, and the bench coach goes and gets on the phone back into the clubhouse. So, they got to. There's no chance they got someone looking. I think they should not be able to have replay. You think he's out?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Speed it up.
You're gonna risk it. You're not gonna have someone verify it for you. What do you think, John?
Challenge it right away. Make the call. If you got to if it's that obvious, challenge it. If it's not, then don't challenge it.
Dale's got a big strike zone back there. Jeez, the American League umpire, brutal.
And now it's Mets-tery Science Reunion 2020.
Hey, don't forget about it.
1,